Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Radio Pulso, also known as the Boyle Heights Beat podcast. My name is April Aguilera, and I'm so excited to be back for my second podcast. And for those who do not know me, I am now a senior at Lincoln High School, who also happens to represent Ramona Gardens. I have been part of the Boyle Heights Beat for about a year now, and I'm currently working on my second story about the Ramona Gardens community. And joining me today is my co-host, Ethan Fernandez. Let the listeners know how you're doing on this fine afternoon, Ethan.
What's up, April? I'm doing great on this Friday afternoon. This is my first time co-hosting, so I'm incredibly excited. And just to share a little bit more about myself, I was born in East Los Angeles and grew up there. Right now, I'm attending Francisco Bravo Medical Magnet High School, and I'm a youth reporter for Boyle Heights Beat. I've written 2 news articles so far, one about the lack of funding of my school, and another about the reuse of the famous General Hospital building. My family is from Boyle Heights, and I feel an important connection with the neighborhood.
Wow, I love that. Okay, and just very quickly, we want our audience to know that we're a radio program and podcast brought to you by the community news outlet Boyle Heights Beat. This is a program that trains local high school students to publish a community newspaper, and it also happens to produce this very own podcast, hence us being here today. And so, what do we have going on today, Ethan?
Well, April, for this month, we're focusing on Hispanic or Latinx Heritage Month to highlight some pretty cool people from our community. In the past month, the month was just named Hispanic Heritage Month, but in some places, people have been starting to call it Latin or Latinx Heritage Month in order to include non-Spanish speaking Latin countries and to be gender inclusive. Latinx Heritage Month is celebrated from September 15th to October 15th to highlight and honor accomplishments and uplift issues of Latinx people. Being that we are in Boyle Heights, it's important that we highlight the accomplishments and work that our people are doing in the community. It's also important to support small businesses and upcoming artists from our community. Today we'll be interviewing Miguel Estrada from the band Ringers and Elianet Romero from Las Niñas Fresitas. Hi everyone, we're here with Miguel and Daniel from the Ringers. The Ringers is an indie rock band from East Los Angeles that formed in 2017. Miguel Angel Estrada started playing guitar at 11 years old and was heavily influenced by rock music. His influences are bands such as Scorpions, The Beatles, and Two Door Cinema Club. Currently he is the frontman for the band. Daniel Romo is the bassist for Ringers. Starting at 12 years old, his original influences range from punk acts like Green Day to more progressive rock bands like Rush. Today he is studying at Cal State Dominguez Hills with the intention of receiving a bachelor's degree in music education. He plans to pursue a master's degree in the future and hopes to continue working in Ringers as a touring musician. In current events, the band is set to release their debut album, Heart Therapy, Friday, October 7th, 2022. Don't forget to check it out. Hi Miguel and Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come to talk to us. I'm a huge fan of your music and excited to highlight your band for Latinx Heritage Month. And I'll be starting with my first question, which is, where do you guys grow up and what school do you guys go to?
Well, first things first, thank you so much for having us, guys. We're very happy to be here. And, all right. Well, I grew up in Boyle Heights in East LA. I went to school in, let's say, I went to a lot of schools around the community, Euclid Avenue, Stevenson Middle School, and Esteban Torres High School. And, yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I grew up on Romo and right off Whittier Boulevard. I also went to Torres. That's kind of where we started playing a lot around the school and whatnot.
Yeah.
And what inspired you guys to create music?
Okay. What's it called? There's a band called Scorpions. They're like a very they're like a heavy rock band from the 80s, and I just would see them play on stage. They brought high energy, and the vocalist, his name is Klaus Main, and he very much inspired me. How he controls people, how much of a very good frontman he is. So yeah, that inspired me to play guitar and to sing.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
I was like 11 years old, man. That must have been like 12, 13 years ago. Yeah, I'm 24 now, man, so it was a while back. Yeah.
Then for me, so I got started on bass because my sister played guitar when she was about like 14 years old. And I originally wanted to play drums, but she wanted someone to play guitar and bass with, so she got me turned on to Green Day, which was I got turned on to Mike Dirnt from Green Day, and then she was able to switch me over from drums to bass, and then I picked it up when I was about 12 years old after begging my parents. And then I just never looked back. I'm a bass player through and through now.
Oh wow. Yeah. I actually saw Green Day about a year ago. Yeah.
How was it?
It was pretty good. It was with Weezer too.
Oh,
Dude.
was that the Dodger Stadium?
Yeah,
The
yeah, it
Fall Out
was.
Boy? That's tight, bro. That's tight.
Jealous, man.
Yeah, we have yet to see Green Day. That's an act we want to
Yeah,
see.
that song
Yeah.
for sure. Gotta go see him
Yeah.
before they're done.
And the next question is, how are the earringers created?
We started in high school. Pretty much like myself, Jesus, our guitar player, Daphnet, our keyboardist, and Daniel. We kind of like started out playing like together, and then later, David before was already in the band, like filling in, but he was in another band permanently. Later, he joined, and we were just starting out playing covers, man. I think like a lot of bands start out playing covers, and eventually we just started writing our own music, and that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, early days were like a lot of Spanish rock covers.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you get paid so much to just do
Yeah,
the Spanish thing.
Yeah.
And then we also doing like indie rock covers, like Two Door Cinema Club.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of our early stuff, a lot of our early influences for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So, and then pretty much that we were just jamming, at his house most of the time, Daniel's house, and we would always be cranking up the volume off, when we were a lot younger, so we didn't really know about like volume control. So Daniel would say things like, "Oh, my ears are ringing," hence the name Earringers.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how it happened, man.
I annoyed so many of our neighbors.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Their ears are probably ringing too.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Whole neighborhood was ringing.
Yeah, man.
And how do you, speaking of neighborhood, how do you think the community you grew up in impacted your music?
That's a damn good question, my guy.
Well, I would say that I think we really inherited a lot of like the DIY nature of our community. Where, like we do everything ourselves, just like everyone else. Like we've worked for everything we've gotten. We haven't ever like been given anything the easy way.
Yeah.
Like we've been overlooked plenty of times, but we always just kept going, and we always had that mentality like if we just work and work and work, we're gonna get there,
Yeah.
So I for sure feel like our community, that aspect of our community, definitely implanted on us.
Being persistent.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on, like I feel like our community is full of very hardworking people, especially because I think a lot of the people here in Boyle Heights, East LA, are of immigrants. A lot of them. I know my parents are immigrants. Your parents are immigrants as well. The band members' parents are immigrants. They came from Mexico. So I think that very much inspired, us to, be hardworking, because we saw that in our parents. And, like you said, we were overlooked, but, we didn't take no for an answer. There was a lot of opportunities that were, we had to work for, and we got them, just because we were persistent on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Boyle Heights full of persistent people.
Yeah, for
hardworking.
sure,
Yeah. And I was recently watching one of you guys' live videos, the Let Me In live video.
Yeah.
And I noticed it was filmed in like a pretty small space. And do you want to like talk about where that was?
That was at our friend Jose. Shout out Jose from Lidianero. Shout out the boys in Lidianero. That was my homie's garage space. And we just decided to film it. Like we didn't know what we were doing at the time, like because we were trying to submit for like a tiny desk thing, but that it was just out of the cell phone, so it wasn't such great quality recorded. But we did what we had to do.
And you guys did it well.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was in East LA, man. That was like by Whittier Boulevard and stuff. So, man, we just walked in. We're like, let's film it. Nothing was hooked up. Yeah, straight out of the phone.
And where do you guys usually record your music now?
We worked with, basically for like, what?
The past 5 years?
5 years. Yeah, we've been working with the same guy. His name is Jonathan Mireles. He goes by Audio Mag Productions. That's his company. We basically just go to his apartment and record out of he has all his gear there.
Yeah.
His entire setup, like, I know it sounds cheap, but like he has like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gear.
He's actually the guy who who worked with Kendrick Lamar's latest album. He also worked in Machine Gun Kelly's Tickets to My Downfall. He was involved in that. And
he works with Travis Barker full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But
and
he's been our guy. But we knew him before. He made it to that level.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Because I met him when I was like 15.
Yeah, it was 2017. I was like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been working with him ever since, you know, because there was definitely a difference in quality, you know, in our music from, you know, our early recordings. So we stuck with him, and you know the way we make music with him, you know, it's been pretty good, you know, like it took off pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how some of your fan base discovered your music?
We just played backyard shows like nonstop
Yeah,
for years and years. Like we did all that legwork.
Yeah, man, we did all that. We played the bar gigs, the backyard shows. We did, you know, the parties and stuff.
Like House of ABU too. When I was there, I saw you guys.
Yeah.
And also, I think when we dropped "Let Me In," that really like got our name out a lot more.
Yeah.
That's our biggest song to this day.
Yeah.
It has like close to 400,000 streams and stuff.
And is that when you guys felt like you made it, like as like a band?
I mean, it definitely felt rewarding, but you know, I feel like we're at a different level from where we started. You know, for sure. But I mean, I think, you know, there's still a lot of room for us to grow. You know, and but it's definitely like impactful the way we've grown naturally, and you know, because it's been word of mouth from people. It's been them being there randomly at our shows. We got this one story where a guy, you know, bought a car and our CD was in there randomly, and he played it and he liked it. Yeah. So that was pretty wild. But yeah, man, it's definitely a big difference from our earlier days to now. It's cooler, man. It's a lot bigger opportunities we've gotten. You have anything else?
I mean, we've basically gone to playing shows to like 5 people. And to last Saturday, we just played a sold-out show at the Paramount.
Yeah.
It was like 400 plus people. So like,
oh wow.
Yeah. We've experienced all aspects of it.
Yeah, we've been through it all, man.
Yeah.
The fucking sorry, can I cuss? No, huh? Sorry. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
But what's it called? We just experienced all aspects of it, and I guess that's kind of like our mentality too. Like, we know what we've been through. We know how hard we worked.
Yeah, man. It was definitely like difficult, you know, because man, like you know, we said before, like there was a lot of times where we were overshadowed by, you know, other bands, but you know, we just didn't take no for an answer. We worked until we got those opportunities, and like for example, you know, we're playing Nothing Fest in October. And that was something we've been wanting to do for a long time, like from when we started.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other bands there too.
Yeah, like bigger bands, you know. So, you know, and I was kind of like, you know, sending them our music, DMing them every once in a while. So it was like, you know, when they offered, you know, the slot, you know, it was like finally. You know,
you made it.
Finally. Yeah, it was cool.
We got left on red a
lot by many people, man. And you know, the Paramount was definitely a big goal of ours too. You know, because I live down the street from the Paramount, so every time I saw it, you know, it's like, damn, I'm gonna play there one day.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, thank you to the boys in Archero for giving us that opportunity. Yeah, man. Yeah.
And your new debut album, Heart Therapy. Can you tell us about like the process of creating it?
Ooh, it was long, my boy.
Years of our lives.
Yeah. It was 2 years, like, officially making the album, but some of the songs on there date back to, like, 3-4 years back, because I have videos of us playing Nada Que Pedirte from, like, 2019. Oh, yeah. You know, it was a long process because
we're super picky about every single song.
Yeah.
Because it was our first official record that we were going to be pushing. We really just wanted everything to be exactly how we wanted it to be. Like, no second thoughts about anything.
Yeah.
So, but because we were like that, it took pretty long, right?
Yeah. It was like a good 2-year process because, you know, we didn't want to give like, we didn't want to give like, half-assed songs. We wanted to give you, we wanted to give our listeners, the best of the best, that we can give. So this production, the way it sounds, it's it's so clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like fresh sounding, you know. It's like just new, you know. And I think over that time we've become like, you know, better songwriters, better composers, and you know, I think, you know, I did a pretty good job at the lyrics, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, like it's just that record. I think everyone's gonna love it. You know, I don't have a doubt in my mind that people are gonna be like, you know, oh, I just like one song from the record. I think all those songs have like, you know, how would I say the what's that word? I forgot the word. It was like, I forgot. It was, you know, it has the potential. There we go. Potential of all of them being like singles.
Yeah.
You know, we've showed it to, you know, a few of our friends, you know, early, and they really liked the record.
Yeah, I mean, you guys worked really hard for it.
To be honest, yeah, man, it was, you know, we broke a sweat on it, and you know, because yeah, there was a lot of times where we thought the song was done, and we ended up changing our mind.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Scrapping because complete songs.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, we've written like 25 songs in that process, right? Like about, and we scrapped it down to 10.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, and what's it called? And well, yeah, man, like, you know, I think these songs definitely, you know, I mean, if you guys have heard Choices and, you know, our latest
Yeah,
single,
I have.
Solo Hay Momentos, you know, that's just a little aspect of it. But once you hear the whole record, once that needle drops, man, you're gonna, yeah, man, it's different. I think you guys are gonna love it, man. Trust.
I'm sure I will. And do you guys have any upcoming shows besides the festival?
Oh, well,
Besides the festival.
yeah, that's pretty much the only one we
Yeah.
have so far.
Yeah.
Because we're
trying to get people to pull up.
yeah. We've noticed that when we take a little bit of gaps, you know, especially like when it comes to, you know, performances, people tend to show up more, you know. And I realized that, you know, we got to a level where we can't play super consistently, because I feel, you know, I could be wrong, but I feel like people won't show up. But sorry, you know, I could be wrong. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but we're for sure also planning to throw like an album release show.
Yeah.
We're still planning that and whatnot. But
Yeah.
right now, Nothing Fest
Is the only one. Yeah.
It's a big one.
And well, because, you know, we wanted to bring a lot of attention to that, especially because I feel like people know that was a long time coming too. You know, and yeah, we're gonna have more merch. We're gonna be stocked up. You know, our album's gonna drop the week after, you know, or the week before Nothing Fest.
Yeah, so it's,
You know,
we're gonna be playing some new material.
Yeah,
for the
definitely.
first time.
Some big changes.
Yeah. So it's gonna be special, man. Yeah, I think, you know, everyone's gonna have a good time, man. Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
What's the band's like biggest goal? Do you have a goal?
As far as we can take it.
As far as we can take it, man. Yeah, like, I mean, you know, personally, like, my dream someday is to, you know, have a platinum record, you know, go on a world tour, you know, things like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Just tour outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
Tour the U.S. period.
Yeah. You know, play for bigger bands, you know. What's a band you would want to open for?
The Chili Peppers would be cool.
Chili Peppers would be
tight.
cool.
Yeah, that would be tight.
Yeah, the Strokes, that would be
Oh,
cool.
definitely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Phoenix, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Two door.
Wallows. Yeah, those that type of thing, you know, like, you know, do a lot with the music, you know, take it as far as we can, man.
I'm sure you guys are gonna make it. You're really persistent people. Some hard
Thanks,
work.
man. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. And lastly, what makes you guys proud of your heritage?
Oof. Well, the fact that, you know, our heritage is very, you know, like we said before, we're very hardworking. Oh, 1 minute. Yeah. All right. Well, like we said before, you know, our heritage is very, you know, hardworking. You know, we just do what we got to do to survive. You know. And
I guess we're all proud of like being in this band. And
yeah, for
being
sure.
Of brown skin, you know,
Yeah.
playing these shows, trying to get our name out there.
Yeah.
Because I think the world just needs, you know, it just needs more of that in general.
Yeah. That's why we started making more music in Spanish, because it's like, you know what, we speak the language. Let's make music. You know, we're
Let's embrace
musicians.
it.
Let's embrace it.
Yeah.
You know?
We've played all those cover songs of Spanish rock.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know how to write Spanish rock.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
picked
and
up some things over there.
yeah, and well, you know, I mean, I have the flag tatted on me.
Oh, wow.
I'm very prideful of it. You know, I went to Mexico recently, and I loved the way everybody was just, you know, they weren't worried about what anyone else was doing. Everyone was just very much about their hustle, how they're gonna make their their peso, you know, and I feel like a lot of those people that came here brought that here, and you know, like I said before, you know, we saw our parents hustle, you know, working hard to raise us, and that's one thing, you know, that our parents, I could say, you know, influenced everyone in the band to just keep going, echándole ganas, you know, and yeah, man, that's pretty much it, you know, yeah.
Yeah, our parents are some pretty hardworking people.
Yeah, man, they really were. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys.
For sure, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us, man. It was fun. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I think that was an incredible and interesting interview. Good job, Ethan. I learned so much about the band, and y'all should definitely check out their songs and their upcoming album once it releases. And once again, that was the Ear Ringers. Okay, so up next we have Elianet Romero. Elianet is a first-generation Latina focused on uplifting underserved communities of colors through public affairs and strategic community strategies. She is passionate about public advocacy and firmly believes in the power of storytelling. She graduated from the University of California, Irvine in 2019 and got her degree in political studies and international studies. She is also the co-founder of Las Niñas Fresitas, which also provides affordable desserts to low-income communities. She aspires to be a practicing attorney one day to uplift communities of color. Hi, Elianet. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to highlight all that you do. So how are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing great today.
Okay. Okay, so first off, I just want to say I love the name of the business. I'm assuming it comes from the song. Is that correct?
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what made you go into the direction of choosing that name?
Yeah, so there's like a funny story behind Las Niñas Fresitas. So back in high school, I used to be in a folklorico for a year. And the song, that was the first time I actually ever heard it. We had to do a dance, and I just loved the song itself. And then like the meaning of Niñas Fresitas is like something that we're actually not, like a niña fresa.
Yeah.
But we love the name of it and how it's such a rich, like beautiful, like, how do I explain it? Like, it kind of resonates with what we saw in general. So that's kind of why we chose it in the first place.
That's really interesting. Okay, so can you tell me more about your strawberry business and who did you start it with and how did you guys decide to start up a business?
Yeah, so a little bit about our business is that it launched back like around 2020 around the summertime. So back in 2020 when everything was shut down, like it was kind of hard to get desserts, and we wanted to kind of open up a business because each time we wanted to like get desserts for like family members because of parties or like birthdays, they were either really expensive or they weren't local to the area. And so me and my best friend, her name is Elijah, we decided to start a business mostly because one, we like to both be creatives together, and two, it kind of gave us like an excuse to provide like low-income strawberries to like the local community, and also mainly because at the time I was looking for a lot of vegan options since a lot of my friends and family are vegan. Didn't find a lot of vendors that did vegan options, so we decided that we would be different in that way, that we would provide a vegan chocolate-covered strawberry. Usually when you're looking for vegan options, you're kind of like limited to what you can buy. So we try our best to make sure that if someone is vegan, like, and they want a certain design, that we make it possible for them. So we go out to like the warehouses in downtown, or like sometimes we drive all the way to like West Covina to get some supplies, just so that make sure that we get the vegan supplies that they want, and also like they're satisfied at the end.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I feel like for vegans here in like Boyle Heights or for Mexicans, it's like so hard to tailor to what they want. 'Cause I don't know, it's so like not common, right?
Yeah, definitely not common. So that's why we started it. So yeah, we sell non-vegan options, and then we sell like vegan options, but typically we like to sell them at pop-ups, because usually at pop-ups where you see desserts, you don't see a lot of vegan options either. And I feel like our local community, there's not a lot of options that they offer, so we try to be that one small business that does offer it.
Yeah. Okay, so since you mentioned like pop-ups, I'm like so curious on how it works. Like, what's the process behind like preparing for that?
For a pop-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so from the initial process with me just getting selected to be part of a pop-up, usually my friend and I kind of discovered through Instagram to see if there's any pop-up vendors accepting new local community vendors to show up. And so we sign up through there, and then the process itself, we kind of take like a week or so, week and a half, depending on what we're gonna sell, to go get our whole products. And it's kind of like a bit busy bees for like 2 days straight, just making strawberries, making sure that they're fresh, and making sure that they're kept in a cool storage. So we have a pop-up actually coming up next weekend, and since it's hot, we have to find like a refrigerator where we can keep everything fresh and cool, and also get the supplies and so forth. So I guess the process itself kind of depends on when the pop-up is. So like the one that we are doing next week, we found out about it like 3 weeks ago, so it's kind of like in a month in advance. We usually don't plan them ahead because pop-ups come and go and change all the time. But that's kind of how we get connected, like through the community. Sometimes through Twitter, Instagram, sometimes Facebook. Just friends that like host them around, they kind of just reach out to us to see if we want to be vendors.
Do like the pop-ups help with like the revenue?
Yeah, so it helps out revenue-wise, just because we kind of use it as a side hustle. Back to like when we started back in 2020, me and my best friend were like struggling financially. So at least for myself, I had received a pay cut at my job, so I was trying to make up that extra income to meet rent. But at the same time, we had the goal, like we want to make them affordable, because we know like there's people like us who want to buy affordable things, but sometimes we're not able to. And so that's kind of where this side hustle started. And so now what we're doing, we actually like save the money that we make, so that in the future we actually aspire to make the business into a coffee shop, so we can sell like coffee and strawberries at the same time. But yeah, so that's kind of where the revenue goes. We kind of just save it, and we also replenish like everything that we invested for the supplies and so forth.
That is so cool. What like made you want to open up a coffee shop?
So essentially, when I was like a younger teen, I would drink coffee all the time. My best friend drank coffee all the time. But one thing that we found is that there was not a lot of like options around us locally, because one, we didn't drive, and two, like the nearest one was Starbucks. So we wanted to start a coffee shop that was, one, really local to us, and two, that wasn't like corporate chained. But that's kind of like an idea that we have down the line to do it. And so we hope that one day we can open it within the Boyle Heights community, and that way it's like local to like local high schoolers, because we were once a high school student. And I know like nowadays you see a lot of like college students like working at coffee shops or studying, but at least I think where I went to high school, I feel like the high school itself was really unique, that I saw a lot of the students there that would like study at the Keck Medical Center, or they would study at like the local Starbucks. And I don't think a lot of people that I knew that didn't go to that school did that. So we want to create like a community hub so that people come and study and do what they need to do.
Yeah, that is so cool. I love that. Okay, so have you faced any struggles as a Latina small business owner?
Yeah, so one of the biggest struggles that we face is actually access to capital. So 75% of our the money that we get to invest in the business, like it kind of goes back into what we used it to buy the supplies. And it's kind of hard to always tap into your savings and like having to try to start a business when you're using your savings at the same time. And because we're not, I guess, as Latinos, you're not really like well versed on your access to capital options. Like, yes, you can go to your Wells Fargo and your Bank of America, but typically those loans aren't set for you to be successful. They kind of just drown you in debt. So that's one thing me and my business partner have been looking into, like eventually down the line, to get a small business loan, but that's in our favor and not like kind of predatory. So that's one thing that we've been facing. And then two, I think just getting like the word of mouth out, because we do work full-time jobs. It's kind of hard to balance everything all at the same time. And I know like we sometimes promote it like on Instagram, or we try to make TikToks, but I think it's just having that like education on how to do that. It's something that we've struggled to find in general.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. What are some ways you think more people can support their local small businesses?
Yeah, so this is a great question. And I think it's really necessary for everybody to know, like, even if you're not gonna buy, it's simple like repost or like retweet or reshare, or just sending it to your friends. It helps out a lot, because you never know who's looking on the other side. And I've heard it before, like, well, my platform isn't big enough, and it's like, it doesn't need to be big enough. As long as you have like a following and there's people who are watching, like there's 9 out of 10 times they'll probably share it, or they'll show up, or they'll buy something. And that's kind of how we've gotten a few customers down the line that they saw it on someone's story and they reached out and they've placed orders. So it really helps us when people reshare our content, whether it's, like I said, retweet, putting on your story, or just simply resharing a TikTok. I think it goes down the line, like it really helps out a lot.
Yeah, okay. So what advice do you have for other Latinx folks who want to start a business but are really feeling like kind of nervous or scared?
Yeah, so this is a great question too, because I was like feeling the same way. And one thing that made me feel more comfortable is actually reaching out to my best friend to see if she would be down to join me. So my advice would be, like, if you're scared to do it by yourself, 9 out of 10 chances that there's someone within your group of friends or family that are willing to start that business with you and support you. So I would say, like, getting a business partner would really help, someone that you really trust and that you can see yourself growing the business with. And whatever you have as an idea, no idea is too big nor too small. I think in the society that we live in, there have been people who have been making, like, let's say, TikToks, and then they blew up. And I think it's the same thing with the business. As long as you believe in yourself and what you're bringing out to the table, then your business will speak for itself.
Yeah, that is so true. So I know that you hope to be an attorney one day, right? Okay, so what inspired you to pursue that?
Yeah, so what inspired me to become an attorney was essentially my experience in corporate America. So I graduated back in 2019. That was like prior to the pandemic. And prior to the pandemic, I was still going into the office, still doing how it typically looked once you graduated, being in an entry-level role. But once the pandemic happened, the job that I was at, like, everyone received a pay cut. And at the time, I wasn't really fully versed on, like, what was legal, what wasn't legal. So I started journaling, just my experiences, so that I can know, like, how this job made me feel. Essentially, it's kind of like a coping mechanism, because under one, there's a whole pandemic, and two, you still have to be working. And that was hard. And through that, I was able to find that, like, through my own journaling experience, that I was actually getting robbed of a lot of money that I was supposed to be making. And I think as Latinos, you're kind of conditioned to just listen to your boss and be grateful that you have a job and not really question it. And I think for a long time I did do that. But what made me, like, stand up for myself was the fact that, like, I kind of thought to myself that, yes, we are instilled to respect your employer, but this employer, that no one instills in them to respect your employee. And so I took it upon myself to, like, sue my employer, and I won. And that motivated me to, like, be that person who advocates for someone who looks like me and sounds like me down the line. That it's okay that if you feel like you're small, but you're not, you have so much power in your voice, and when you tell your story, that you have to bring to the table. And so that's kind of what inspired me to go to law school, to do, like, an employment law route. So I can be on the side of the plaintiff who's always being screwed over with, like, either wages or how they're being treated in the workplace, especially since corporate America, as I learned, isn't positioned for people of color, unfortunately. It's very, like, white male dominated. And if you're not a white male, like, it's 10 times harder for you to move up the ranks and be equally paid. And so that's what inspired me to go to law school, just for my own advocacy and, like, what I experienced.
Are you in law school right now?
No, I'm actually applying in the fall.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. I think it's also, like, such an inspirational way to flip the switch, you know? Like, that is so cool. I love that. So, do you know, like, how you're going to manage to do both, like, your business and also go to school?
Yeah, so my journey to law school has been kind of a whirlwind, because when we faced the pandemic and now we're back into, like, this new normal. And so in that transition, I was studying for my LSAT, running my business, and so working a full-time job. And I think what's helped me really, like, get my stuff straight is just journaling and putting everything on an agenda. And I feel with law school, like, that's going to be, like, 100% of my time, school-wise and work-wise. But on the side, I will still have my side business, because I do believe in it, and I want to be able to see what I learned in law school, and I can apply it to my business. So, yeah.
I love that. Okay, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would say that a piece of advice for everybody who's watching and listening would be to just always believe in yourself, and to not let others make you feel like you're not good enough.
Period. Okay, and then just this last question really quick. So what makes you proud of your heritage?
Oh my God, I love this question. I think as, like, the whole Hispanic Heritage Month, I think we're so well diverse. Like, everybody has something to be proud of. No matter what part you're from, I think everybody brings, like, a rich culture. And I think for me, I love how deep down, everybody that I've met within my culture has been humble. I know that's something that I appreciate a lot, that like no matter whether you're family or not, you kind of get treated like family. And that's one thing that I appreciate, that no matter who I go to for help, like they're always willing to help out. And I remember that, and I bring it back to myself, and I remember like, oh, I remember when so and so helped me, like if they ever need help, I'll be here for you. I also like how there's like great food, great music, and I think all of us are deeply proud of our culture. I know like at least here in Boyle Heights, like we're fighting back gentrification because we want to keep our culture. And I think as a community we kind of forget the differences that we may have, but we all unite in this one thing to keep our culture intact.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so thank you so much, Elianet. You're such an inspiration, and I think we can all appreciate your willingness and determination to make change. And for those who are listening, go support their business at Las Niñas Fresitas on Instagram. And in order to keep the community thriving, it's important to make some time to celebrate and support Latinx owned businesses this Hispanic Heritage Month. And also, most importantly, do not forget that you can and should continue to support them every day, not just through October 15th.
Hello.
Okay, so tell me what it was like to do your first like podcast interview.
Well, it was something. It was fun. I loved it, actually. At first, I was a bit nervous, but after time, it's just like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was very hot in this room, so
Yeah,
I was kind of sweaty the whole time. It was a really good time with Miguel and Daniel, and
there was definitely a connection.
Yeah.
Like, I just sitting on the side, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I love talking about music, so I feel like with music, it's a little bit easier, huh?
Yeah, and they had some great answers, and I just loved hearing from them.
Yeah.
And how they're such hardworking people, that band.
Yeah. I'm really excited to hear like some of their music. I'm so sorry. I haven't listened, but now I definitely will, and you guys should too.
Yeah, I definitely think you guys should too.
Do you have a favorite song?
Choices, probably. He
Choices?
talked about it on the interview when I was interviewing him, but that's a really good song, and I think you guys should all listen to it.
Okay, thank you for that. So now I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our guest speaker.
And that's a wrap for our Radio Puso podcast, and thanks so much for listening. I'm Ethan Fernandez.
And I'm April Aguilera. If you want to pitch us an idea for the radio show or our newspaper, send us an email at boyleheightsb@gmail.com. That's boyleheightsb@gmail.com. We love to hear from all of you as we pride ourselves in offering noticias por y para la comunidad. Or we even love to have you on our show. Y'all should also make sure to check us out on social media to stay up to date. You can follow our Radio Pulso IG account at RRADIOPULSO, which is just Radio Pulso with 3 R's.
And thank you so much to the people that make Boyle Heights be possible, especially Chris Kelly and Antonio Mejias Rentas. A huge thank you to our radio producer Jackie Ramirez and to Adrian Casillas for engineering the show today. You'll hear from us next in the upcoming month of October for some spooky stories. Don't forget to tune in.
Until then, suelta Boyle Heights. Nos vemos en la calle.